Explosions rock Gaza as Israel resumes air and ground operations early Saturday. Lebanese voters cast ballots in final phase of municipal elections in southern provinces. And the first batch of freed civilian detainees arrives in Russia's Kursk region after major exchange. Explosions were reported across the Gaza Strip early today as Israel resumed its air and ground operations. The blast began around 3:05 a.m. local time and continued sporadically until after sunrise, with the last reported at 7:01 a.m. There was no immediate comment from the Israeli military. However, the army routinely classifies all armed Palestinians as militants. The renewed strikes come as Israel presses ahead with an intensified offensive launched last week. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has stated that the military campaign aims to establish full Israeli control over the entire Gaza Strip. France has dismissed accusations by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who claimed that leaders of France, Britain and Canada were seeking to assist Hamas.
La réaction est très ferme. Nous n'acceptons pas ces accusations, bien évidemment. C'est un acte antisémite qui s'est passé à Washington. Nous ne l'acceptons pas plus. Nous ne confondons pas le peuple israélien et la politique qui est menée aujourd'hui par Benjamin Netanyahou. Vous savez quelles sont les réserves que nous avons, grandes, immenses, notamment par rapport à ce qui se passe à Gaza. Je pense qu'il faut désescalader cette montée en tension entre nos deux États et travailler à trouver des solutions de paix durable pour Israël et pour la Palestine.
Palestinian media has reported that Israeli occupation forces shelled the vicinity of Al Auda and Indonesian hospitals in northern Gaza. The attack comes as Israeli troops continue to impose a tight siege on multiple areas in the north. Meanwhile, Israel's public broadcaster reports the army is preparing to deploy additional troops in Gaza as it expands its military operations. The Palestinian Health Ministry has said 21 people have been killed in continuous Israeli airstrikes since dawn. Palestinian news agency WAFA has reported an Israeli drone strike targeted a house in El Amal neighborhood west of Qnews, killing an entire family. Another strike hit a house in Nusayrat refugee camp in central Gaza. Al Qahira news correspondent confirmed Israeli forces also destroyed 2 homes in El Fukhairi, east of Qnews. The Associated Press, citing Palestinian sources and Israeli soldiers, has reported that Israeli forces are increasingly using Palestinian civilians as human shields in Gaza and the West Bank. According to AP, troops have forced Palestinians into buildings to check for potential threats. Israeli media reports have said the U.S. proposed a Gaza ceasefire similar to the one in Lebanon, but Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected the offer. Reports have further indicated that Netanyahu is deliberately obstructing the deal for political reasons and insists on continuing the war. The Israeli Detainees Families Forum has called for an immediate and comprehensive detainees exchange to secure the return of their relatives and end the war. The group claims a deal is already on the table, but Prime Minister Netanyahu is seeking to appoint a new Shin Bet chief opposed to such exchanges. Israeli Knesset Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee member Amit Halevi has accused Prime Minister Netanyahu's government of lying about achievements in Gaza. Israeli media quoted Halevi further saying the army lacks an operational plan capable of defeating Hamas. A heated exchange was reported during a recent Knesset session between Halevi and Defense Minister Israel Katz over the ongoing war in Gaza. In response, Katz likened Halevi to opposition politician Yair Golan, head of the Israeli Democratic Party. Katz accused Golan of defaming Israeli society and soldiers by comparing them to Nazis and blaming them for killing children in Gaza. Opposition leader Yair Lapid has urged David Zini to decline his appointment as Shin Bet chief until a Supreme Court ruling is issued. Lapid accused Prime Minister Netanyahu of having a conflict of interest and prioritizing political survival over national security. Avigdor Lieberman, head of the Israel Baytunu party, accused Netanyahu of violating military protocol by meeting a senior general without informing the army chief. Lieberman described the move as a major blow to the army and claimed that the prime minister continues to place personal interests above national security.
كل المستهدفين هن مدنيين. وضع شيء مرعب، شيء بيخوف.
Lebanese voters are casting ballots in the final phase of municipal elections in the southern provinces of Nabateya and South Lebanon. Authorities say operations rooms have been activated to handle inquiries and complaints, ensuring transparency and proper conduct. The Lebanese army has urged the public to comply with security measures during the elections in southern Lebanon. The army also warned against celebratory gunfire or any acts endangering civilian lives, especially amid heightened tensions in the region. Lebanon has announced the formation of a joint committee tasked with addressing conditions inside Palestinian refugee camps across the country. According to our correspondent, sources confirm that the Lebanese-Palestinian Dialogue Committee will initiate a phased disarmament process inside the camps, set to begin in June. The roadmap includes a clear timeline for handing over weapons and is aimed at restoring state authority and security. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has voiced strong support for Lebanon's sovereignty and the exclusive right of the Lebanese state to control arms across its territory. In a meeting with Palestinian factions in Lebanon, Abbas reaffirmed the importance of upholding Lebanon's security and stability. He also called for continued political and legal efforts to implement the two-state solution based on international legitimacy. Abbas reaffirmed that the Palestine Liberation Organization remains the sole legitimate representative of the Palestinian people. And for more analysis, we now move to Mark in our newsroom.
Yes, thank you, Selma. For more on this, we are joined by Abdullah Niema, who is a researcher and international relations and strategic affairs person, and joins us from Beirut. Thank you very much for being here with us on Qnews. Let's start with the elections. What are the main security and political challenges surrounding this final phase of municipal elections in southern Lebanon?
Afternoon to you and to your audiences. In Qnews, we all know that the municipal elections is an evidence of recovery to the Lebanese state as a face of democracy. Today is the biggest challenge of the fourth round of the final of the municipal elections in areas that torn by the war. As an evidence of recovery, the determination to stay in this land, and the resistance under the international pressure for the building the Lebanese state. As we all that the municipal services, 90% of their services is social. And the president of Lebanon checked the Nabatea area alongside with the municipal elections in 2025, and I think that his statement was very clear that we are with the reconstruction building the Lebanese state, and we're all in one corner. And as we all know, that the Lebanese army is doing a great effort with respect to security and the issue of camps and its disarmament. And I think that the Lebanese army is the guarantor and the only state institution under the Lebanese leadership in building the Lebanon once again. Following the visit that particularly in the area, in particular in Egypt, in the upcoming area, and that are crystallized through signing agreements. Based on my information, as the Egyptian army that adopted to qualify the Lebanese army, despite all concerns, through training and arms, and they will be assisted Lebanese army 24 hours in building the defensive system along with the agreement between Egypt and Saudi Arabia. Egypt is going to play a great role in the reconstruction by the Egyptian and corporations supported by Saudi and even the army, the Lebanese army. I think Egypt is playing a great role in Lebanon and Syria. Lebanon is approaching a very important phase for the Lebanese people to collaborate and stand by the Lebanese state.
Yes, well, you mentioned just then, you did mention the disarmament of the camps, and I will come on to that in just a moment. But first of all, how, given the region's current tensions, how important is the role of the Lebanese army when it comes to maintaining order during the elections?
The Lebanese army's role is main and principal in stabilize the area during the municipal election and has taken a great effort with respect to security that require military officers around the process. As you know, through the elections it will be witnessing a great presence by the people. So the Lebanese army working 24 hours a day and night following the polling boxes circles as particularly in the day of the election, and it will be requiring a great effort with respect to security as some issues might arise that a representative of a candidate that isn't available, that would create a problem even if his name is not registered. So as always the internal services and the army is helping the problem during the hours of the elections as the security apparatus surrounding all the process of selections. Thanks to the Lebanese army as a sole guarantor, as it is the state institution that available in Lebanon, working all the time despite challenges, and the Lebanese army is in a very solid and cemented establishment. And we pray to the Almighty God to praise the Chief Army and President Taoun that they are exerting all their efforts for the sickness of turn war Lebanon, as 70% of its assets were deteriorated. So the issue of the municipal elections is a phase of civilization, rebuilding the state, confronting the people as a great evidence that Lebanon isn't going to be rebuilt only by the hands of the Lebanese.
Okay, well, let's come on to the disarmament plan for the camps. As we were just hearing in our news bulletin with Selma, as backed by the Palestinian president. So let me ask you, how realistic and enforceable is this timeline, and also the disarmament plan itself, and will it have any effect on the stability of the refugee camps?
Certainly, with respect to the Palestinian camps and the withdrawal of their arms, we all know that President Abbas was from the first day stated as always supporting the Lebanese state authority and monopolizing the unregulated arms only in the hands of the Lebanese army. As we know that President Mahmoud Abbas, in the meantime, has nothing to do with the arms in the camps, that some arms that out of the hands of the Palestinian Authority, as the Lebanese, or rather the Iranian groups such as Hezbollah, and principally Shatila camps arms will be handed over, and other Palestinian affiliated camps that will be firstly to disarm fully. But other camps such as Hamas and Islamic Jihad and Fatah and other groups, through the security committees, will convene meetings with all the factions to hand over their arms, and certainly the Lebanese army will withdraw it forcibly based on the international resolution of disarmament. And I think the entrance of the Egyptian in the present time as we speak, so you will listen it or hear it from the first time as approaching the Egyptian leadership, as the Egypt has partially managed all the security military matters and assisting Lebanon in all arenas, such as qualifying the military airport, along with the reconstruction, building bridges by the Egyptian corporation supported by USA and American. I think the Egyptian president in Lebanon, based on its expertise, will be very useful for Lebanon, as we all know that the Egyptians, as we know, based on its expertise, military oriented, that they are very good with this regard, and they are the best people, that they are informed about the Lebanese people. So the disarmament of the camps, Egyptians along with the Lebanese army will be super assistant, and I think that the matters will be working smoothly, and in the middle of the upcoming months the arms will be surrendered of the civilian camps by the Palestinian, and then they will be moving to the other camps. But the timeline table...
Well, I'm just going to have to interrupt you there, I'm afraid, because we're just out of time. But thank you very much for joining us here on the program. That was Abdullah Neema from Beirut, a researcher in international relations and strategic affairs. Thank you very much for being with us. And now it's back to you in the studio, Selma.
Thank you, Mark, for conducting this analysis. And amid escalating security tensions in Libya, Egypt has swiftly evacuated 71 citizens from Tripoli, reinforcing its commitment to safeguarding nationals abroad. In a statement by Egypt's foreign ministry, and an Egypt Air flight repatriated those registered with the embassy and the foreign ministry's crisis unit, following the directives of Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. The state covered all costs, ensuring seamless operation. Authorities continue monitoring the situation, prioritizing citizen safety, which is a testament to Egypt's proactive crisis response. The world's first robot fighting competitions is set to kick off this Sunday in Hangzhou in China's eastern Zhejiang province. The event, titled the CMG World Robot Contest Mech Combat Arena Competition, will spotlight humanoid robots equipped with advanced combat and balance technologies. Held at the Olympic Sports Center in Hangzhou, the contest will be live-streamed globally. Participating robots are capable of executing complex fighting techniques such as straight punches, hooks, and side kicks, and can quickly rise after being knocked down. Sun Bayuan, marketing manager at Unitree Robotics, one of the companies behind the competing robots, said the moves demand high levels of balance, rapid reaction times, and sustained endurance, making the challenge as technical as it's thrilling. One of the world's tallest 3D printed structures has been unveiled in the remote Swiss village. The white concrete tower, named Tor Alva, which means White Tower in Romansh, stands nearly 30 meters high and is being hailed as the world's tallest 3D printed tower. A collaboration between ETH Zurich and the Origin Cultural Foundation, the project showcases cutting-edge digital construction methods. Built without traditional formwork, the tower features 32 sculpted concrete columns, each produced through robotic 3D printing. Researchers at ETH Zurich developed a special concrete blend and an innovative reinforcement technique that allowed the structure to bear significant loads. Designed as a cultural center, Tor Alva aims to breathe new life into Mulgens, a village with just 11 residents and a population in decline. 9 rare hazel dormouse have undergone health checks at London Zoo as part of a national effort to restore populations of the vulnerable species. In footage released Tuesday, the dormice, including 3 born at ZSL's Whipsnade Zoo, were examined by the Disease Risk Analysis and Health Surveillance team at ZSL. These screenings are part of ongoing conservation work to reintroduce the once widespread species across England and Wales. Dr. Claire McName, a wildlife vet at ZSL's Institute of Zoology, confirmed that all 9 dormice passed their health assessments and will be released into the wild next month. A rare Pope vulture chick, also known as the king vulture, has hatched at the Bioparco Zoo in Rome. Currently being cared for in the zoo's nursery, the vulture chick is fed using a glove designed to mimic the shape of its mother's head. Zoo staff also covered their faces during feeding to avoid human imprinting. The chick was born after 55 days of incubation and weighed 127 grams at birth. It is reported to be in good health. The sex of the chick is still unknown. It will only be discovered later, but zoo workers already have some ideas, so they decided to just call him Leo for the moment. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin. Here's what I've been covering. Explosions throughout Gaza as Israel resumes air and ground operations early Saturday. Lebanese voters cast ballots in final phase of municipal elections in southern provinces. And the first batch of freed civilian detainees arrives in Russia's Kursk region after major exchange. This concludes our news bulletin for the hour. Don't forget to follow Q News on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok at QNews EG to stay informed. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more updates on Q News.